The Galactic Council chamber floated high above the glowing stars of the Andros system. It was a massive ring of silver and glass where the rulers of 100 worlds met to decide the fate of galaxies. On this day, the air itself felt heavy, filled with whispers of war. At the center of the chamber, a giant hologram spun slowly, a small blue planet shining softly among the darkness. It was Earth. To most alien species gathered there, it looked fragile, young, unimportant, a simple world full of noise and chaos. But to the humans who lived on it, it was home, the only one they had. The Chancellor of the Drakari Empire stood, his tall reptilian body covered in armor that shimmered like fire. His voice echoed across the hall. "Members of the Council," he began. "The humans of Earth have expanded too far. They mine worlds without permission. They refuse our trade laws. They act as if they own the stars themselves." Several others nodded in agreement. The Kryn, insectoid creatures with hard golden shells, clicked their jaws. The Avaran, with wings made of light, spread them wide in disapproval. The hall filled with voices, cold, sharp, and full of arrogance. "The humans must be stopped," said the Kryn leader. "They are spreading like a disease." "They are dangerous," added the Avaran delegate. "They refuse to bow before the Council's will." One by one, more joined the cry, demanding punishment, demanding war. In the back of the room, one elder remained silent. Elder Saren of the peaceful Loria watched the argument unfold with sadness in her eyes. Her people had known humans first. They had traded with them, shared stories, and seen both their kindness and their fury. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft but carried power. "Do not mistake their silence for weakness," she said. "Humans are not like us. They have something deeper inside. I have seen it. When all hope is gone, when every light fades, that is when they fight the hardest." But her warning was ignored. The Drakari Chancellor slammed his clawed hand against the table. "They are nothing but savages wrapped in metal. They cannot even reach the far stars without stealing technology from others. We will strike quickly. They will fall quickly." Cheers and approving sounds filled the hall. The council voted. The result was clear. A decision written in arrogance and pride. The Council of 100 Worlds declared war on Earth. Elder Saran closed her eyes. She had seen the same mistake before. Great empires thinking themselves untouchable. "You do not understand what you are about to awaken," she whispered. "Humans do not run. They endure." Back on Earth, the stars looked calm. The people had no idea what was coming. Cities glowed with life. Children laughed in the streets, and scientists dreamed of peace beyond the solar system. But far away, the Council's fleets began to move. Thousands of alien ships left their homeworlds, engines roaring like thunder. The greatest armies of the galaxy united under one purpose: to destroy a single planet that had done nothing more than refuse to kneel. When the first signals reached Earth, the leaders gathered in secret. The message from the Galactic Council was cold and clear. Humanity has broken galactic law. Prepare for judgment. The President of Earth stood before the holographic image, his face pale but firm. "They're coming," he said. Around him, generals and scientists remained silent. No one spoke for a long time. Finally, General Harris leaned forward, his voice calm but filled with steel. "Then we prepare. They think we will beg for mercy. They think we will surrender." He looked around the room. "They don't know who we are." Dr. Amina Patel, head of Earth's Defense Research, whispered, "We have only one chance, Project Dawnfire. It's not ready yet, but it's all we have." The president nodded. "Then make it ready. Whatever it takes." Outside, the world changed overnight. Countries that had once been enemies now stood side by side. Old rivalries disappeared. Scientists worked day and night in hidden bunkers. Soldiers trained not to fight each other, but for something much bigger, for the survival of all humankind. And somewhere deep under the mountains, a voice spoke softly into the dark, almost like a prayer. "They wanted to test our strength. They will soon learn what it means to face humanity." As the alien fleets crossed the stars toward Earth, the humans looked up at the night sky. To most, the stars had always been symbols of hope, but now they looked like the eyes of something coming to end them. Yet not a single human surrendered. Not one ran, because even before the first shot was fired, the spirit of Earth was already awake. The galaxy had chosen war, but they had forgotten one truth. When humans are cornered, they don't fall. They rise. The world had changed overnight. Every screen, every radio, every channel repeated the same terrifying news. The galaxy was coming for Earth. At first, people didn't believe it. They thought it was another government lie or a science fiction story. But then, telescopes began to see them. Strange lights moving through the void. Fleets larger than anything humans had ever built. The stars themselves seemed to shift with their arrival. Panic spread like wildfire, but so did something else: unity. For the first time in centuries, humanity forgot about borders, religion, and greed. They remembered only one thing: survival. Deep under the city of Geneva, a secret underground base came alive with hurried footsteps and the hum of machines. It was called the Global Defense Command, and it was where Earth's greatest minds had gathered to face the impossible. Inside a round chamber lit by blue light, generals, scientists, and leaders stood around a large holographic table. Floating above it was a moving map of the solar system, and hundreds of red dots representing enemy ships, slowly entering its edge. General Harris, a man with tired eyes and silver hair, stared at the display. "They'll be here in less than 3 weeks," he said quietly. 3 weeks before the largest armada in history reaches Earth. No one spoke for a moment. The air felt thick with fear. Then Dr. Amina Patel broke the silence. She was the lead scientist of Project Dawnfire, a secret human weapon that even most of the council didn't know existed. Her voice trembled slightly, but her eyes were sharp. "We have one chance," she said. "Dawnfire is incomplete, but it could work. If we can charge it in time, we might stop them before they reach Earth." "What are the odds?" asked the president. Dr. Patel hesitated. 10%, maybe less." General Harris looked up at her. "Then we make that 10% count." A murmur of agreement moved through the room. Even with such little hope, no one suggested surrender. No one even spoke of peace talks. The galaxy might have seen them as primitive, but humanity had never learned how to kneel. Outside, the world was preparing. In the deserts of Africa, new orbital cannons were built from the remains of old satellites. In the frozen wastelands of Antarctica, hidden bunkers came alive with soldiers and engineers. Every nation poured its last breath into building defenses. Ordinary people did their part too. Families sent messages to soldiers they would never meet. Children painted flags on the walls of shelters. Even as fear grew, so did pride. An old man in Tokyo whispered as he looked at the stars, "If they think we are weak, they will learn what it means to be human." In space, small defense fleets formed near the Moon and Mars. The first wave of human pilots took their places, knowing most would not return, but none of them stepped back. Humanity had always been outnumbered, by nature, by time, by its own mistakes. This was just another challenge. Back in the command center, tension grew with every passing day. "Reports from Jupiter colonies. Destroyed," said an officer grimly. "The alien fleets are moving faster than expected." Dr. Patel clenched her fists. "We need more time. Just a few more days to power the weapon." General Harris nodded. "You'll have it. Whatever it takes." He turned to the defense commanders. "Buy her that time." The meeting ended with silence. Every man and woman left the room knowing the truth. Most of them would not live to see victory. But that didn't matter. What mattered was that humanity would be remembered. That night, as the last preparations began, General Harris stood alone on a balcony overlooking the dark sky. The stars shimmered faintly, hiding the coming storm. He whispered to himself, "They think they can erase us, but we've survived worse. Fire, ice, plagues, wars. We always come back. He took a deep breath and looked toward the horizon where dawn was rising. Let them come. Earth is ready. When the announcement was made to the world, the president appeared on every screen. His voice was calm but carried a strength that spread hope through every home. People of Earth, he said, our world stands on the edge of extinction. The Galactic Council believes we will kneel. They think our spirit can be broken. But they forget what we are. We are humans, and we endure, we fight, and we rise. Cheers echoed in cities and shelters alike. Even those who were afraid felt something ignite in their hearts. Pride, courage, unity. Above the planet, the human fleet began to rise, small compared to the alien armada, but filled with determination, and far across the stars. The first alien scouts looked toward Earth and felt something they had never felt before. Hesitation. Because in the darkness of the void, the little blue planet no longer looked weak. It looked alive. The war for Earth had begun. The darkness of space trembled as the first wave of the Galactic Council's fleet entered the solar system. Thousands of ships moved like a storm of fire covering the stars. They came from every direction. Massive warships, silver cruisers, and black carriers the size of small moons. Their purpose was simple: destroy Earth, erase humanity. From their command ship, the Drakari admiral watched with satisfaction. Prepare the cleansing, he ordered, his voice sharp like metal. End this species quickly. The fleet began its assault. The first target was Mars. Human outposts there never stood a chance. The alien energy beams struck with blinding light, turning bases into dust. Within minutes, every human colony on Mars was gone. Next, they turned their attention to the asteroid belt, destroying mining stations and communication relays. Earth's defenses began to crumble piece by piece. Back on Earth, alarms echoed across every city. The Global Defense Command reported heavy losses. General Harris stood before the war screen, his jaw tight. How long until they reach us? 2 days, an officer answered. Our outer defenses are falling. Dr. Amina Patel rushed into the room, her eyes tired from sleepless nights. Project Dawnfire is ready, she said breathlessly. We can use it, but once we fire, it will take everything, every bit of power we have. The president gave a slow nod. Then we hold the line until it's charged. Earth must stand. In orbit, humanity's fleet gathered near the moon. Compared to the alien armada, it was small. A handful of destroyers, a few carriers, and fighters built from scraps and desperation. But inside those ships were men and women who refused to surrender. Captain Elias of the Vanguard stood on the bridge, his gaze locked on the black sky filled with red enemy markers. We've got one job, he said to his crew. Hold them off. Make them bleed. No one fires on Earth while we still breathe. The crew saluted. They all knew they wouldn't survive this battle, but that didn't matter. What mattered was that the aliens would remember their names. When the first alien ships reached the moon's orbit, the human fleet attacked. Hundreds of missiles launched at once, streaking through the darkness. Explosions lit up space like stars being born. The alien shields held at first, but then the unexpected happened. Human ships didn't retreat. They charged. The Vanguard and her sister ships flew straight into the enemy lines, dodging beams, weaving through fire. Every hit shook their hulls, but they kept going. Captain, we're surrounded, shouted the pilot. Good, Elias replied with a grim smile. Then we can hit them from every side. The humans fought like no other species had ever fought. They didn't follow perfect formation. They didn't hide behind shields. They fought with instinct, raw, fearless, and unbroken. When one ship fell, another took its place. When one pilot died, another continued the mission. Meanwhile, on Earth, the sky burned with falling debris. Pieces of destroyed ships rained down like shooting stars. People watched from bunkers, praying in silence, holding each other tightly. In the control center, Dr. Patel worked frantically. Her hands moved over glowing panels. rerouting power from every city on Earth. Lights across continents went dark as all energy was redirected to one single point, the dawn fire. Array hidden beneath the Himalayas. General Harris watched the energy readings rise. How much longer? 5 minutes, Patel said. Her voice shook. Just 5 more minutes. Above the planet, the last of Earth's ships began to fall. The Vanguard was burning, its engines failing. Elias coughed, blood on his lips. We've done our part, he whispered. Now it's up to them. The Drakari admiral smiled cruelly. Their defenses are gone. Fire on the planet. But before he could give the order, his sensors flashed red. A massive surge of energy came from Earth's surface. The readings were impossible. Brighter than a star, what is that? Shouted one of his officers. Then the sky split open. A beam of white light shot from the planet, piercing the darkness. It struck the Drakari flagship in a single instant, and the ship vanished. Not destroyed, not broken. Erased. The surrounding fleet panicked. Some tried to flee, others fired blindly. But another beam followed, then another. Each one brighter, stronger, unstoppable. Dr. Patel fell to her knees as the ground shook. It's working, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. It's really working. From space, the battlefield turned silent. Thousands of alien ships drifted without power. Some destroyed, some retreating in chaos. Humanity's weapon had turned the tide. For the first time since the war began, Earth had struck back, and the galaxy would never forget it. As the smoke of war cleared, the humans stood together, scarred but proud. The blue planet still glowed in the dark sea of stars. And somewhere in the void, whispers began to spread among the alien fleets. The humans are not supposed to have that kind of power. Their world should have fallen. What? Are they? The answer would come soon enough. Because the galaxy had started this war, but humanity had just shown the first sign that they might end it. The silence after the first battle was deafening. The mighty alien fleet that had entered the solar system with pride and arrogance now floated in chaos. Wrecked ships drifted like broken bones, and fire glowed faintly across the black void. For the first time in galactic history, the invincible Council Armada had been defeated, not by numbers or technology, but by the will of a single world. On Earth, every screen lit up with the same message: Dawn fire successful. People cried, cheered, and held each other in disbelief. In bunkers, in dark shelters, in war-torn streets, the same feeling spread: hope. Humanity had done the impossible. But General Harris knew the war was far from over. Standing in the command room, he watched the hologram of the solar system flicker. The enemy was retreating, but more ships were coming from beyond the stars. They'll regroup, he said quietly. This was just the beginning. Dr. Amina Patel nodded. Her eyes were red from exhaustion. We hurt them badly, but they'll return with everything they have. We need to prepare for their revenge. Then we fight, Harris said firmly. No more waiting. It's time to take the war to them. In the days that followed, Earth began to rebuild and rearm. Every surviving ship was repaired, upgraded, and armed with technology taken from destroyed alien vessels. Human engineers worked side by side with captured alien scientists who had surrendered after seeing the power of Dawnfire. For the first time, humanity learned to combine alien science with human creativity. The result was terrifying. New ships faster, stronger, and more adaptive than anything the Council had ever seen. From the hidden shipyards near Jupiter, a new fleet rose. They called it the Iron Dawn. Captain Elias's name became a legend. Though the Vanguard had been destroyed, survivors carried his spirit with them. New ships were named in his honor: Vanguard 2, Courage, and Horizon. Each carried the same message painted on their hulls: we do not bow. When the second wave of the alien invasion came, they expected a broken world. Instead, they found an army waiting for them. The battle began near Saturn. The massive gas giant reflected the fire of 1,000 ships locked in combat. The humans, outnumbered 5-1, fought with fury. General Harris led from orbit, coordinating fleets across the solar system. "Target their command ships," he ordered. "Cut off their control and the rest will scatter." Human fighters, small and fast, zipped through enemy formations, dodging plasma fire. They struck weak points, overloaded reactors, and vanished into the void before the aliens could react. Every explosion echoed a message. Earth was not afraid. The alien commanders could not understand how a race with such little technology could fight like this. Their ships were older, slower, yet somehow deadlier. Humans didn't rely on perfect algorithms or cold logic. They relied on instinct, courage, and desperation. One alien officer whispered on an open channel, "They fight like they want to die." Another replied, "No, they fight like they refuse to die." As the battle raged, Dr. Patel activated a secret defense, a system called the Mirror Net. Thousands of small satellites hidden around Earth began to project false signals, confusing the enemy's sensors. Alien fleets fired on empty space while human ships slipped behind them unseen. The tide turned once again. In one bold maneuver, the Horizon rammed into a Drakari dreadnought, disabling its main cannon. The explosion was so massive that even people on Earth saw a new light in the night sky. Captain Wren from the Horizon sent one last transmission before her ship broke apart. "For Earth, for home." Her words became a rallying cry across the fleet. After 10 hours of brutal combat, the second alien invasion fleet was shattered. Those who could flee did so. The rest drifted silently, wrecks scattered across Saturn's rings. Humanity had done it again. 2 victories, both against impossible odds, but victory came with a heavy cost. Thousands of soldiers were gone. Many ships never returned. On Earth, families waited for names that would never appear on the survivor lists. Dr. Patel stood on the command balcony that night, looking at the stars. Her heart ached, but her eyes glowed with determination. "They thought they could erase us," she whispered. "Instead, they made us stronger." General Harris joined her. "The galaxy will not forget this," he said quietly. "They came to destroy us, and now they fear us." Patel nodded. "Let them. Fear might be the only thing that keeps them from coming again." But deep down, both knew the truth. Fear alone would not stop the next war. The Council would not rest until Earth was destroyed, and humanity, scarred yet unbroken, was preparing for what would come next. Across the galaxy, rumors spread. Entire star systems whispered about the humans, the ones who defied the Council, the ones who turned light itself into a weapon. Some called them monsters, others called them heroes. But one phrase echoed louder than all: "Earth fights back." And in that moment, the galaxy began to realize this war would not be won with numbers or power. It would be won by spirit, and the human spirit was something no weapon could destroy. Months passed since the second invasion. The solar system, once a graveyard of wrecked ships and burning skies, was now a fortress. Humanity had changed, united by loss, driven by vengeance, and inspired by hope. Across every continent, factories worked day and night. Children helped rebuild homes while soldiers trained under the endless skies. Humanity's scars were deep, but each one told a story of survival. Dr. Amina Patel stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital station Helios 1. Below her, the planet glowed blue and peaceful, hiding the fires that had nearly destroyed it. She whispered to herself, "They thought this would be our grave. But this is just the beginning." Behind her, General Harris entered. His uniform was worn, his face lined with exhaustion, but his eyes burned with determination. "The Council won't stop," he said. "They're gathering another armada near the Orion Gate. We intercepted their transmissions. This one will be bigger than anything we've faced." Dr. Patel turned toward him. "Then we can't wait for them to come. We take the fight to them." He frowned. "You mean leave the solar system? That's suicide." "Maybe, she said softly. "But it's better than waiting to die here. We have their technology now, their drives, their weapons. We can strike first." General Harris looked at her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "All right, let's remind the galaxy that humans don't hide. They rise." Within weeks, the first human deep space strike fleet was formed, Task Force Phoenix. It was built from the wreckage of alien ships, armed with both human and alien weaponry. Each ship carried a crew that had already lost everything: families, homes, friends. They had nothing left but their resolve. Captain Mira Khan commanded the flagship Iron Dawn. Standing on the bridge, she looked out into the endless dark. "This isn't just war anymore," she told her crew. "This is justice." Her voice spread across every channel in the fleet. "We fight not for revenge, but for every child who looked up at the stars in fear. We fight so that no one can ever threaten Earth again." The fleet's engines roared to life. Trails of blue light spread across space as humanity left its home system. Not to run, but to strike. The Galactic Council did not expect humans to attack first. When their sensors detected the human fleet near the Orion Gate, they laughed at first. "Impossible," the Drakari commander said. "They're too primitive. They cannot travel this far." But their laughter soon turned to silence when the first wave of human missiles hit. The explosions tore through their outer defenses. The Iron Dawn and her fleet dived into battle. Laser fire painted the dark like lightning, and the void echoed with explosions. Human ships moved unpredictably, weaving, hiding, reappearing, using chaos as their greatest weapon. Dr. Patel's latest creation, the Eclipse Network, came online during the battle. It was a secret quantum AI capable of hacking alien systems mid-combat. Suddenly, enemy ships began firing on each other. Entire squadrons turned against their allies without warning. The Drakari command structure collapsed within minutes. "They're attacking their own," shouted an alien officer. "No," hissed another. "It's the humans. They've infected our systems." From the bridge of the Iron Dawn, Captain Mira watched as the alien fleet fell apart. "All ships," she commanded, "focus fire on their flagship. End this." Dozens of human ships released their last missiles. The alien flagship's shield shattered, and the massive ship erupted into fire. The explosion lit up the void like a second sun. When the light faded, the enemy fleet was broken. Cheers echoed across every human channel. For the first time in galactic history, the Council's forces had not only been defeated, they had been humiliated. But victory came with a price. Half of Task Force Phoenix was gone. Many ships never made it back. The Iron Dawn limped away, its hull torn, engines dying. Captain Mira sat alone in her darkened bridge. "We did it," she whispered. "But how many more times can we bleed before we break?" Her message was sent back to Earth, simple, direct, and heavy with emotion. "We struck the Council at their heart. We made them fear us. But they will come again. And next time, they'll bring everything." In the council chambers, chaos erupted. The alien leaders shouted over one another, their voices filled with disbelief and rage. How can this be? How did they reach the Orion Gate? "They used our own ships against us. They are a plague that spreads faster than thought." Only Elder Saran, the one who had once warned them, remained silent. She closed her eyes and whispered, "You see now? You woke a sleeping beast. Back on Earth, people mourned their fallen but stood taller than ever before. They had fought not only to survive but to prove that they belonged among the stars." Dr. Patel looked up at the night sky, tears in her eyes. "We've changed everything," she said softly. "The galaxy will never look at us the same again." General Harris stood beside her. "Good," he said. "It's about time they learned what humanity truly is." Above them, the stars burned brighter as if watching, and somewhere out there, among the wreckage of the Orion Gate, a signal echoed across the void, a warning, a promise, and a declaration all at once. Earth fights not for power, but for freedom. The galaxy had wanted war. Now, they had it. And humanity was leading it. The days after the Orion Gate battle were both proud and painful for humanity. The galaxy now knew Earth's name, whispered in fear, spoken in anger, and admired in secret. News spread like fire through the stars. The humans had fought the Council and won, but victory had its cost. The survivors of Task Force Phoenix returned home as heroes, yet their hearts were heavy. They had seen too much death, too much darkness in the void. Captain Mira Khan stood in the memorial hall on Earth, where thousands of holograms glowed, each one representing a life lost in the war. She touched one projection, the face of her first officer smiling forever in frozen light. "You said we'd see the stars together," she whispered. "We did, just not like this." Dr. Amina Patel joined her quietly. "They didn't die for nothing," she said gently. "Because of them, Earth still stands. Humanity still breathes." Mira looked at her with tired eyes. "And how long will that last, Doctor?" "The Council will come again. You know that." Amina nodded. "Yes, but this time we'll be ready." Far across the stars, deep within the Council's grand chamber, chaos ruled. The Drakari generals shouted, demanding vengeance. The tall, crystalline Varan diplomats called for peace. The insectoid Trell demanded neutrality. The Council had never been so divided. The supreme commander of the Drakari slammed his clawed hand on the table. "We cannot allow these humans to continue. They are too dangerous. They learn too fast." Elder Saran, calm as ever, spoke softly. "And yet, we were the ones who attacked them first. Perhaps the danger lies in our pride, not their defiance." Her words silenced the hall for a moment, but the fire of revenge burned too bright in the others. "Prepare the Eclipse Armada," the commander ordered. "We will erase Earth from existence." Back on Earth, preparations had already begun. Humanity no longer waited for miracles. They built them. Massive shipyards floated above the moon, assembling the new fleet known as the Guardians of Sol. Each ship bore a name of honor: Courage, Liberty, Phoenix II, Remembrance. Soldiers from every nation trained side by side. Engineers, scientists, even artists joined the effort. Everyone had a role because everyone had lost someone. General Harris stood before the fleet as it prepared for launch. His voice echoed across the command channels. "Humanity once looked up at the stars with wonder. Now we look up with purpose. The galaxy wanted war, and we will show them what it truly means to fight for home." But there were shadows among the stars. In the silence between worlds, strange signals began to appear. Unknown ships cloaked in darkness observed human movements. They didn't attack, they simply watched. On the Iron Dawn, Captain Mira stared at one of those signals on her screen. "They're studying us," she said, "waiting to see what we do next." Dr. Patel's voice came through the comms. "Then let them watch. Every time we rebuild, every time we rise, they'll learn the same thing, then humanity doesn't break." But deep down, even Amina felt the unease. The next war would be different, bigger, and she knew the Council was preparing something terrifying. In a hidden lab beneath the Martian surface, Amina and her team worked day and night on something that could change everything: Project Prometheus. It was humanity's most secret creation, a fusion of alien technology and human imagination. A weapon not meant to destroy but to protect, a planetary defense system capable of bending energy and matter itself. Her assistant Leo looked up from the console. "If this works, Doctor?" "Earth could survive anything." She smiled faintly. "If it works, Leo, but if it fails," he finished for her, "then there will be no Earth left to protect." Meanwhile, Captain Mira and her crew patrolled the edge of the solar system, guarding the void. Every night, she looked at the stars, so beautiful, so endless, yet filled with danger. Sometimes she thought about home, about her family who still waited for her in Karachi, about the blue oceans she hadn't seen in years. She whispered to herself, "I'll see you again, Mother." When the stars are safe. But her peace was short-lived. The alarms blared, a new signal appeared on the radar. Hundreds of enemy ships emerging from hyperspace near Neptune. "The Council's armada," her lieutenant gasped. "They found us," Mira clenched her fists. "All ships form battle line. We hold the line here." Across the system, Earth's command lit up with red alerts. General Harris slammed his fist down. "They're early. They weren't supposed to move yet." Dr. Patel looked at the live feed of the incoming fleet. Her heart pounded. Then this is it. Everything we've built. It all comes down to this. The Council's message arrived. Cold, merciless and final. Surrender your world, or be erased. Humanity's reply came moments later. Broadcast to every star. This is Earth, we do not surrender. As the Iron Dawn led the defense near Neptune, the void erupted with fire once again. Lasers cut through the dark. Missiles streaked across space like falling stars, and ships on both sides were torn apart. Mira's ship shook violently. "Keep firing!" she shouted. For Earth. Through the chaos, Dr. Patel activated Project Prometheus. A beam of pure light erupted from Mars, spreading like a shield around the inner planets. The battle had begun, and this time, the fate of not just Earth but the entire galaxy hung in the balance. Humanity stood against the storm once more, broken, scarred but unyielding. They were fighting not just to survive, but to prove that no power in the universe could ever take away their freedom. The stars watched as the humans burned bright against the dark. Oh, flame that refused to die, the war had reached its final breath. The space around Neptune burned like a dying sun. Ships, only human and alien alike, floated as wreckage, drifting silently into the void. The stars were hidden behind clouds of fire and debris. Captain Mira Khan stood on the bridge of the Iron Dawn, her uniform torn, smoke filling the air. The hull was cracked, the engines failing, but her eyes still shone with defiance. "Status report," she shouted over the alarms. "Shields gone. Weapons offline! We're down to emergency power," her lieutenant cried. Mira gritted her teeth. "Then we fight with what's left." Through the broken view window, she saw the massive Eclipse Armada, the Council's greatest fleet, closing in. Thousands of alien ships glowed red like burning blades. Their commander's voice thundered across every channel. "Your resistance ends today, humans. Your world will burn." Mira's heart pounded, but her voice was steady. "You can try." On Mars, Dr. Amina Patel stared at the control console for Project Prometheus. The system's core was glowing dangerously bright. Her assistant, Leo, shouted, "It's overloading." "If we don't shut it down, it could destroy the whole planet." Amina shook her head. "If we don't use it now, there won't be a planet left to save." Her fingers flew across the console. Route all remaining energy to the solar shield. Every watt, every spark. It's time. She took a deep breath and whispered, "For Earth." Then she pressed the final command. A sudden burst of light erupted from Mars, brighter than anything the human eye had ever seen. The beam expanded outward, forming a golden wave that wrapped around the entire solar system. The alien ships opened fire, but their shots vanished against the glowing barrier. The shield shimmered, humming with power and hope. On the Iron Dawn, the crew gasped as they saw it. "The shield. It's holding," someone shouted. Mira smiled weakly. "That's Amina, she did it." But the Council's armada refused to retreat. They launched everything. Plasma bombs, gravity weapons, dark matter torpedoes, all crashing into the shield in waves. The light flickered, dimming with every impact. Inside her lab, Amina watched the readings drop. The core temperature spiked. The system couldn't take much more. Leo looked at her, terrified. "It's burning out." "If we keep pushing—" "I know," Amina said softly. "That's the point." She turned to the holographic window showing Earth, blue, fragile, beautiful. "If humanity must endure, then let me be its flame." She locked the controls and began manual override. The overload sequence started. Leo grabbed her arm. "Doctor, you'll die." She smiled sadly. "Then I'll die for something that matters." The lab filled with light. The last thing she heard was Leo's voice crying her name before everything vanished in brilliance. In orbit, the wave of energy burst outward like a nova. It slammed into the alien fleet with unimaginable force. One by one, enemy ships lost control, their systems fried by the raw power of Project Prometheus. From the Iron Dawn, Mira watched as the enemy armada broke apart. They're retreating. Her lieutenant shouted, "They're running!" But Mira didn't cheer. Her eyes filled with tears as she realized what had happened. She whispered, "Amina." She gave everything. The shield dimmed and faded, but the threat was gone. The stars slowly returned. Quiet, peaceful, eternal. Hours later, Earth's skies glowed with the light of falling debris. People stood outside their homes watching the remnants of war burn up in the atmosphere like golden rain. The war was over. General Harris gave his final broadcast to the world. His voice trembled as he spoke. Humanity has stood against extinction, and won. We have shown the galaxy that we are not prey. We are survivors, builders, and dreamers. Let every star remember this day, the day Earth stood alone and did not fall. In the ruins of Mars, rescue teams searched the scorched lab. They found nothing but melted glass and a single, intact data core, Amina's final recording. When they played it, her calm voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, then we made it. Tell them that humanity's strength isn't in our weapons, it's in our hearts. We fight because we love, and love cannot be conquered." Tears filled the rescuers' eyes. Months later, Captain Mira Khan stood once more on the rebuilt observation deck of Helios 1. Below her, Earth was alive, her children laughing, cities shining, oceans peaceful again. General Harris stood beside her. "She bought us our future," he said quietly. Mira nodded. "And we'll honor it. No more wars if we can help it. We'll reach the stars, not as conquerors but as equals." She looked at the horizon where night met day. Amina gave her life so humanity could see beyond hate. Let's not waste that gift. Far beyond the solar system, the Galactic Council gathered in silence. Elder Saran looked out at the stars and spoke softly. "We sought to destroy them, and instead they reminded us what strength truly means." No one argued. The council had learned fear but also respect. A new law was passed that day. No world shall threaten Earth, and so, the galaxy changed forever. The humans, once unknown, were now legends, the species that stood against the impossible and survived. Every world in the galaxy would remember the day the stars turned golden, the day Earth refused to die. And somewhere among those shining stars, the spirit of Dr. Amina Patel lived on, a whisper in the light, a guardian watching over the blue planet she loved. Humanity had won its place among the stars, not through conquest, but through courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable fire of the human heart. Because when the galaxy wanted war, Earth gave them humanity.